Hello, welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Want to take time to thank Jake and Ryan over at Patriot Patch Company, Patch of the Month. Check it out, stay frosty. That are the bandwidth sponsors for this program. And thank Sean and the Hoodlum gang over at Firearms Radio Network for continuing to put this program on the air. Just want to say hi to somebody we haven't had on in a long time. And that's Brian of the Sharpshooter 22 Long Rifle Reloader. So,
how are you guys doing?
How's it going, Brian?
Good.
So, Brian, we're going to get back to you in just a minute. First, we're going to go through and say hi to everybody else and have them tell us what they've been doing. Looks like Jason was making a sandwich. Jason literally, he wasn't making a sandwich. He was making an adult sandwich. So, a fine idea. So, that I do not have in the fridge. Sorry. All I got is beer in the fridge. Anyway, Trevor, long time no see. I see you got the blizzard. So, how you been?
I've been good. Busy. I don't know. Was I working for a gunsmith last time I was on?
No.
So since I was on, I started a part-time job. So I got my full-time school teaching thing during the day, and 3 to 4 evenings a week I work back at the local gunsmith. Started off as a way to make some extra cash, but it seems like more than anything else, I'm just there to pay off my bill. So. A lot of fun. I'm helping them with a lot of refinishing projects. So a lot of my time is spent disassembling, reassembling, sandblasting, polishing, unskilled gunsmithing. How's that? I learned last night that I absolutely detest reassembling single shot shotguns. All the springs that are under tension that you have to compress and put a pin in there, and it takes 3 hands and a monkey to get everything back inside the lock. Not my favorite thing. I spent 3 hours reassembling a shotgun last night, and I got to work today and he's taking it apart because I had a spring in backwards. Defense, he checked it and he was like, yeah, that's good, carry on. So anyway, and Adriel and I have been working on refinishing 1911s. So for the people that are watching live or the people that are going to watch the video later, what I'm holding here in my hands is a Norinco 1911, and they make them in 9mm and 45. So they come from China. So you guys down stateside don't get these. Norinco makes clones of quite a few different firearms. 1911s, M14s, SIG P26s, and he is hit and miss. So I decided to, Adriel and I decided to get a couple of these are $350, and they're pretty rough out of the box, but they work. Tolerances are pretty sloppy and loose, but again, they work. Decided to do was install some proper sights by cutting the proper dovetails on the slides. On this one, we welded the original dovetail and then milled a new dovetail so that we could install a Dawson Novak adjustable sight in the back. And then I stripped out all the parts, which you don't have to do. You can clean up the Chinese parts if you want, but I decided to try to my other 1911 Owens. This is an STI Trojan in 9mm. It's one of my competition pistols. And so I wanted a backup for that one. So I installed a bunch of STI parts. So STI is a company down in Texas that make 1911s and 2011s. So the only parts left on this gun that are Chinese: barrel, ejector, and the grips. But the grips are going to be replaced soon. Everything else has been replaced with STI parts. The barrel bushing is actually a Colt barrel bushing. The sad part is my range is under 15 feet of snow, so I haven't actually been able to go test fire it yet. That's what's new and exciting with me, Mike.
All right. Jason, how about you?
Nothing.
Yeah, I know you've been working a lot, so that's why you weren't able to be with us last week.
Yep. Wasn't I with you last week?
Were you? Yeah, that's great. We waited longer.
Tuesday.
The retired guy that's not been able to make the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I made us late, but I was here.
That's right. I'm getting old. I just forget crap.
That's all right. Yeah, I've done nothing shooting. I did one thing reloading related. I disassembled the L&L AP off of my bench and took it over to a friend's house. And he's gonna clean it up and either buy it off of me or borrow it for a long time or sell it, whatever.
Rent to own.
There you go.
That was it.
Jeremy, how about you?
I hadn't done a whole lot. The only thing I've done was I loaded up some 45 using 200 grain cast bullets that have been powder coated.
Nice.
So nothing major, just to get loaded up. So
yeah, well, it's every little bit. So we know. Besides, you've loaded more than Jim, so. I did a little loading, some podcast editing, and also working on getting some guests and working on the outline for the upcoming From the Beginning series. So a couple of weeks here, we're gonna start over. We're gonna do metallic, and then I have a guest lined up for when we get done with metallic to actually do shot shell also. So I'm excited about that because we really haven't ever gone in depth to shot shell, really. We've dabbled in it here and there, but not to the point where we've gone with metallic. So if you have any topics that you want covered in From the Beginning series, send us an email to reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a text to 608-467-0708. Or leave a comment in the show notes at firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast. So we're all looking forward to starting over with that. Basically, it's taking the new reloader who has no clue what the heck they're doing and doesn't even have anything and teaching them how to get going, not only single stage, but progressive. So, and now, Brian, since you're drawing attention to yourself by dropping stuff on your desk.
Sorry about that.
First off, for those who haven't ever gotten the pleasure of hearing from you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I have a reloading company where we started off with the rimfire reloader. So we have the 22 long rifle, 22 mag. After that, we moved into the capper, which is a deal to turn an aluminum can into a number 11 percussion cap. You reprime that with our priming compound. And then last year at SHOT Show, we launched the Berdan primer. It's die specific, not caliber specific, so you can reload any of the Berdan or military case primers. It's basically a guide system to line the kit. It drills the third hole for you that's not too big or too small. And then we make a series of, now it's going to be 4 sizes. Right after SHOT Show, we're going to add a 4 size of sleeve. So if that primer doesn't have a close fit, we've got an aluminum sleeve, slides right into that pocket. Then you can put any box or, the correct size box or primer in there, which is large or small. This year at SHOT Show, I thought this was going to be a project. It doesn't look like much when you look at it. Thought this would be pretty simple. But I think we're in month 15 or 16 now, and we're just going to launch it at this SHOT Show. For all you guys that cast bullets out there that use gas checks. Gas checks are, fairly expensive. This is a one stroke. There's a few other products out there that'll make a gas check. It's always a 2-part process. It takes a long time. We're calling it the one stroke. Fits right in your reloading press. This is the bottom part. This goes in the top where your die would go. you slide roofing aluminum right through there, and as fast as you can press and slide that aluminum, you can crank out gas checks.
Ooh, nice.
So we're starting off with 9mm, 357, 40, 45, and 44. And, based on our customers, your viewers, whoever emails me, what they want, we're going to start, increasing new size, different sizes about 3 or 4 months, and a couple of them, and who's ever the highest on the list. I guess the squeaky wheel gets what they want, is I guess what I'm saying. So if you've got some other calibers you want, just start sending me those emails, and these will be available. I'm going to say 60 days to 90 days comfortably, right after SHOT Show. So,
Brian,
yeah,
brain about the product that punches the third hole in a Berdan primed case.
absolutely.
So I get my hands on some 7.62 by 54R brass case to be Berdan primed. This tool will drill the third hole in the center, correct?
Yep.
Large rifle boxer style primer, and that's it.
So what you do if you're a Redding guy or an RCBS guy or a Lee guy, or we make them for Hornaday and Lyman, most people are die specific. So I'm a Redding guy, so I would get the one for Redding, and on your resizing die, you take your capping pin out, you screw this in, get a cordless drill, works easier. You're going to drill that just through the plate one time, and I sit down and I do it with a bunch of cases, and then after that then you can set your die, set your resizing, or your put the center back in your die with the pin. It'll knock the primer out. Then you've got that Berdan has a deal in the middle that's shaped about like that.
Yep.
You got to cut that out.
Oh, okay.
So that's a one-step process to the case, and you only have to do it one time. After that, you just got to check. Every case manufacturer is different, and there's basically 4 sizes. Well, if you were just shooting the 54, there's basically 2 sizes of the sleeve that you may or may not need. It just depends on that brand of case, because there's 4 sizes of Berdans. So, and then you pop that sleeve right in on something hard, and then that case for the life of the case is good to go. So it's basically you're adding 20 seconds to reloading every case, but you're only doing it one time.
Right. So it's a one and done, and then that brass is good for every time after that. So along with putting the center flash hole, I've got to take the envelope.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. So I just
you just got to ream that out.
I just picked up 670 rounds of 7.62 by 54R, and I have no intention of shooting it because it's corrosive. So I was just going to pull the bullet and dump it into a regular case. So I got to get some cases. And now, Berdan cases, I used to turn my nose up at them, but as long as they're brass, I'll grab them and use this equipment.
Yep. Basically everything that everybody used to throw away at the range, whether it was rimfire or steel or Berdan cases, we've manufactured some to reload them. The only thing we haven't completed yet is the all 4 of the 17 rimfires, which we're still working on. We're just we're going to have some bullets manufactured for them.
Do you have some products that will allow me to salvage this steel case?
Yeah, you can reload any of them.
All I got to do is ditch.
The steel case it's a Berdan prime.
Yeah, so I just got to
they're a little harder in the dies, so I kind of double lube them, but other than that, you're good to go.
Cool, thanks.
And again, on the new tool we're coming out with, you're going to be able to make gas checks for less than a half a penny a piece. So pretty cheap and pretty time. There's no time in it. I mean, it's as fast as you can chunk that aluminum through there and make them. So if I'd have known we were doing an absolute live podcast, I'd have set everything up and showed you guys, but maybe we'll do that sometime in the future.
Yeah, we'll have you back on afterwards when it's up and running.
After that SHOT Show?
Yeah. Probably maybe after NRA, Because I know you're busy between shot and NRA from previous
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
So what's next?
I've got a few things to coming out next. There's a lot of stuff on the market. Turning your everybody in the survival world loves that single shot 12 gauge, and they like to turn it into a muzzleloader with a 209 primer. But I'm just coming out with some stuff. You don't have to do that. I'm going to get rid of the 209 primer and make it cheaper.
Nice.
So, other than that, still working on the 17 rimfires. Just working on having some bullets manufactured that are light enough and a little bit shorter. So the shortest bullets that are offered now, they got about 10 thousandths too much on them to work in a bolt action or semi-auto. Berger used to make some 15 and 18 grain bullets that work fantastic, but they no longer manufacture them. So trying to work on getting some of that stuff done. So some of that is what's next, and working on lots of match grade stuff for the 22, which is, stuff that's further down the road, but just stuff to keep working on.
All right. So how has things been going with everything, with the Berdan primer, and then more importantly, with everything else? How's the company doing? Doing well?
It's doing great. We just had an article, the complete book of hand loading for 2018. I have not seen a copy of it yet, other than a photograph of the front copy, and it has right on the front copy, right on the front cover, rimfire reloading question. There's supposed to be a big article in there, but I have not yet seen it. I can't get my hands on one. So, yeah, it's been going great. The press is good. The Berdan deal keeps picking up. The NRA is supposed to have a review out here pretty quick. I've talked to the writer. He absolutely loves it. The only fault he found is that we missed one size Berdan primer, which I did not realize. So we're getting the insert made for that. And, you're always learning stuff. So.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you guys are around to teach us everything, but you guys didn't know that answer either.
No, I haven't spent much time playing with Berdan other than tossing them in the brass scrap. So.
Right.
But
Berdan primers are like $250 a brick, so
yeah,
keep the load.
And from what I've heard, they're a pain to use. So
yeah, there's only a couple ways to get them out of there. Absolutely. So
anything else you want to talk about, Brian?
That's pretty much it. Like I said, we've been working on this project for 15 months, so I thought it'd be easier. But yeah, we just tried to make it as fast and simple as possible. Robin Sharpless over at Reading has helped us test this product, so it's absolutely going to be perfect. He's tried to break this product and called me and told me he couldn't break it. So, like all our products, we offer a lifetime warranty, but after he told me he tried to break it and couldn't do it, I'm pretty happy. So you're not supposed to run galvanized aluminum through here, but he did it on a bunch of them and did not dull our blades on the end of this. So pretty exciting to hear that from somebody that's so highly respected in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. Takes a lot of effort to try and break something and then not come up with the ability to break it is pretty huge. Whoops,
Yeah.
I think my microphone, sorry. So
yeah, that's basically what we've been working on here for a long time, and just getting it done and getting ready to show it here next week at SHOT Show. I guess next Tuesday.
Awesome.
So a week from tomorrow, or a week from today. So it'll be exciting. And I saw that on your Facebook that you've been reloading some steel shots. So
yep, a little bit. So
I've never done that. I've loaded a lot of lead, but never any steel.
the nice thing is I've got that micrometer adjustable that Canadian company makes for the mech.
Mm-hmm.
So really, it's you change out a bushing that's designed to go in that bar, and
Right.
then you bar, so it's the same setup as far as loading. So
Yeah.
somebody gave me some steel BBs, and I figured I'd have some fun with them. So
You need some friends to send you some heavy shot and reload it for me.
yeah, sure. Send it on out. I'll play with it.
Yeah,
Heavy, good stuff.
Yeah. Proved that this morning. So
Don't chase
Brian, where are you at with your mold for the 22 projectiles?
still a 25 and the 38. The next run I do, I'm going to do a combination 38 grain bullet, so I'll offer it both ways. And like I've got one sitting right here. We've got a match grade bullet, but there just hasn't been as much call for it. I'm going to work on a non-corrosive priming compound that I think will solve all that. I've got a system designed that you can actually load 22 long rifles faster, but actually getting all the tools built is, I think I'm on year 2 now. So I'm thinking a couple more years we'll have all that. It just takes time to get it and test it, and then you change things, and just an ongoing process like everything.
Right.
But I do have a match grade bullet that shoots fantastic. 50 yards, 3 shots, kind of through the same hole, all touching, through a match grade barrel and all that stuff. But so the accuracy is great. It's just repeating the process and building some new stuff. It's always hard to build new SKUs,
Sure.
So,
Do you have multi-cavity molds yet? You were
the
talking
mold,
about that at
the
one
mold
time.
we have is 2. I have, I think, if you'll hang on here 1 second. Here's the one that we produce now. It's got 2 in there.
Okay.
And when we do this one, which will probably, like I said, will be a couple years, it's got 5 of them in there.
Nice.
So a little different bullet design. Needs a couple things, but good bullet design, I promise you that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, on the next run we do of handles, I'm going to do this one has a 25 and a 38. And we're going to offer it that way, and then also offer the double 38.
Okay. I never realized that your priming compound was corrosive.
It is, yeah. You just got to clean your gun afterwards. There's no issues. You can run about 2,000 to 2,500 through it before it starts gumming up a 1022, and a quick clean, and you're good to go.
Okay.
Yep. It is very hard to come up with it's not hard to come up with a priming compound that's not corrosive. It's hard to come up with one that you can ship.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're getting into stuff that's a little more volatile than even powder or primers, and it'd be a nightmare. Hey, we want to sell you something for $20 and you get to pay like $30 for shipping. That's going to go over like a lead balloon.
Right.
Well, Brian,
So, we've got
sorry, Brian, isn't that why in that special case, because their compound is so volatile that it has to be crush proof? That's why their tray is made like that?
I'm not 100%, but I think there's something has to do with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot to building any of this stuff and being able to ship it, and it's a pain. So definitely. But yeah, our priming compound is corrosive, but a very quick clean of the gun, and you're good to go. I've shot it through my match grade 22s. I've got no issues with it. Shooting it, just clean it afterwards, and Hoppy's number 9 never failed. So,
Yeah, I've run some through my kid's cricket, just because it's fun to play with and it's a single shot. So,
yep.
Yeah, it cleans up real easy. So what's the most interesting use that somebody has sent you for using your priming compound?
Oh, should I say this on live air? A good buddy of mine that owns Crux Ord, They make Glock parts. They make one of the coolest tripods in the world. He took a whole, I'm not recommending this to anybody. He took an entire batch of it, mixed it up, put some acetone in it, and it was in a chew can, and they shot it with a pellet rifle. And it did a pretty good job on the cinder block. That's all. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to leave it at that. But I've had, we've got it. You can obviously we reload rimfires with it. We make the caps with it for number 11 percussion caps. I've had guys call me that are reloading their centerfire primers with it, which is a little bit more of a pain. You got to pop the anvil out. You do have to take the dent out and then, drop it in, drop acetone, put the anvil back in. So it will reload absolutely any primer. And it's probably our number one selling item for that reason. Especially with all of California's new gun regulations and ammo regulations.
Yeah, we've definitely got an increased interest in reloading. I've seen in new members joining the podcast group on Facebook. Quite a few of them are listing California's ammo changes. So
yeah, next year it's going to be nuts when they actually start making them register ammo.
Oh, crikey.
So,
well, I think Second Amendment Foundation's filed between Second Amendment Foundation and Cal Guns. I think there's a couple of lawsuits pending. So hopefully one of those will go somewhere.
We can hope. It is California, though.
Yes, it is.
So,
all right.
Hard to think.
What's that?
Oh, I was just going to say it's hard to picture that there's a place worse than Canada when it comes to gun laws.
Yeah, there's a couple down here, which is just
the other CA.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something about places with CA. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
So,
all right, Brian. Well, we've got a couple listener questions we're going to cover. If you want to hang out,
absolutely, yeah.
That's more than welcome. So the first one is from Jordan, and he says he sent this to the Reloading Podcast at gmail.com email address. Says, hi there. I just started listening to your podcast and I love it. You all do a nice job keeping us newbies in mind while also covering more advanced topics, which I also enjoy. If you've already answered this question, feel free to direct me to the appropriate podcast. But what is your load development process for rifle cartridges? In other words, what variable do you change first, second, third, etc.? I just started reloading 308, and my rifle seems like 168 grain Sierra Match King bullets. I'm getting 1-inch groups, but I want to improve that. Should I start with bullet seating depth, powder charge? There are so many variables to change. I'm not sure where to begin. Thanks for your help. Keep up the good work, Jordan. So, oh, good grief. That's funny, Trevor.
You're welcome.
Hey, you guys are making fun of me. I got it.
No, in the chat on the live feed, he put time to change Canada's name to New Texas.
We need to get away from C's.
Yeah, exactly.
California, Canada.
Yeah.
Now you're catching on.
There you go. So, what does everybody do when you're looking to improve your group?
That's a loaded question.
What's your first step?
It all boils down to consistency, whether it be your bullets, your cases, case capacity. Don't try to weigh them because weight doesn't mean jack squat. Check your case capacity. Consistency in bullet between weight and the base ogive measurement. I mean, it's really a deep rabbit hole when you're chasing those small groups. But me, the first thing I did was I weighed my bullets. I sorted in groups. Then I further sorted by base to ogive measurement on each one. That way each one had the same amount of bullet inside the case. And then I sorted by case capacity. And those two things right there did a lot.
And I think, Jeremy, you just touched on something that a lot of people and that is actually matters, and focus on those things. Newbies can spend a lot of time doing things at the reloading bench, thinking that they are improving the quality and accuracy of the ammunition, when in fact spinning their wheels and not going anywhere. Said, don't weigh your cases. Different articles online, and still find one that says weigh your cases. Well, the weight of the brass, it's about the internal volume of the case.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just one example. Then you touched on a couple of other things, but that's still one popular misconception out there.
Yeah, weighing doesn't do jack squat.
That's a different story.
Even though a lot of people still weigh their cases, you're spinning your wheels, wasting your time. Don't do it. If you do anything with your cases, check case capacity, and then make sure they're all trimmed to the same length.
What about different dies?
Well, different seating dies maybe, so you can get consistency. And then of course, like a full length resizing die, in my opinion, is a full length resizing die. A collet die, a shoulder die, or a body. You can experiment with all those different things, but I don't think that you're going to get, if you go from one brand to another, but when you go to a die that's going to do a specific thing to increase accuracy, then yes. Different dies for different jobs.
Yeah. You kind of want a little robot at the end there, but mostly came through. So, yeah, what Trevor was saying, different dies for different jobs. Full length resizing die is just that. Typically most of us use that. For those of you who were tuned in last week, we were talking about using that to push your shoulder back and why you would do that. That's kind of an extension of this. There's different things you can do, but changing your dies doesn't necessarily mean you have to go from a Lee to a Redding. Hey, Jeremy, what die do you use on your F-class ammo?
I use a Redding body die.
Uh-huh.
I use a Lee collet neck die, and I use a Hornady die cedar with the micro just stem.
Okay. So he's got 3 different dies for 3 different purposes. But you did notice that he did say Lee for the neck sizing die. That's what the Colette die does. It sizes just the neck, which is what determines your neck tension. And most importantly, Jeremy, what does that neck sizing die determine?
Oh, it helps reduce run out.
Exactly.
Huge when trying to get precision reloads.
So yes, Redding makes awesome stuff. There's a couple other companies out there on Brownells. You can find all the top end stuff, but you don't need to spend $300 on a die to make accurate.
I can if I want to, right?
Oh heck yeah! I am here to tell you spend that money.
All right.
You want to spend that money? Go ahead. I'm just saying that those of us that are on more of a budget, you don't have to. There is more than just the equipment itself. It's the user of the equipment. Also, it's the same thing with the rifle. You can go and buy a $5,000 rifle and a $6,000 scope and shoot 6-inch MOA groups at 100 yards because you're a horrible shot. And every time you pull the trigger, you go like this and slam the rifle off to the side. So,
thing you do when you want to decrease the size of your groups. And I was going to say I give the rifle to Matthew McClatchy, but
we don't all have that.
We don't all have a McClatchy.
Yeah. One of the things that Jason Tilley suggested, and yes, I am wearing gloves because it's like 35 degrees in my garage right now, Fahrenheit. So.
Is it cold where you're at, Mike?
Trevor, can you peel the banner?
The man is so dedicated to podcasting that he podcasts in his garage without heat and has to wear gloves. I want the listeners to know the lengths he goes through to produce this show.
So what Jason said is to get a concentricity gauge. So this is part of my Hornady concentricity gauge, which is the rest of it sitting up on the shelf. But a very important thing, because that's what you're going to use to check the runout that Jeremy's talking about. What is runout, gentlemen?
The unstraightness of the bullet in the case.
That pretty much sums it up, honestly. So if you were to set it on the head, so it is pointed up at you. That's a problem when you clean up. You don't have everything sitting next to you anymore. So if you take this cartridge like this, and you set it like this, and you look straight down, think of the water bottle trick on the internet where people sucker into looking in the bottle and you squeeze it and shoot them in the eye. Kind of the same principle. You're going to look straight down the bullet, and you're going to see how off center that bullet is compared to the case.
So question.
Yes.
How do you fix that? You load a bunch of 308, you put them on your concentricity die, and you know out, let's say your gauge is detecting a couple of thou wobble or whatever. Where's the problem coming from? Is it coming from poor setup? Are things loose? Are things not straight? Is it your technique on the handle of the press? How do we solve this?
Well, here's how you solve it. Channel locks, good to go. Just tweak it a little bit. Wow. Oh,
People watch this, huh?
Seriously though, actually, any and or all of the above things that you asked about, Trevor, can cause it.
Yep.
So, it's going to be different for every person. Your press might not be mounted firm. So when you go to raise the ram, it wiggles a little bit, and as the casing is going up into the die, it's off just a hair because it wasn't in the exact same spot you put the previous one in. Or your bullet seating die has grease or something in it, and so when the bullet goes up, it's not sitting there right. Or the design of the I don't even know what you'd call it, but the design of the little part inside the bullet seating die that actually touches the bullet isn't designed for that shaped bullet. That's why some of the companies make different replacements you can put in there. You can make your own hot glue gun, I've heard. Use some glue in there and let it cool and then pull the bullet out. So there's lots of different things. Maybe, you put your brass in your loading block and you walk away. You come back a couple days later and a dang possum got into your garage and knocked your loading block onto the ground and bent the brass all the heck. And you don't bother to resize it. You just throw the powder in it, bullets in it, and away you go. That could cause it. So
I liked all the extra.
Jeremy and Jason.
The last one.
Yeah, well, that's actually what happened to me, but I did resize them. So,
Jeremy and Jason, whichever one of you wants to jump on this, do you check concentricity and then have a acceptable margin? And if it's not within what you deem acceptable, you pull it and start over? Put it as practice ammo? What do you do? Are you doing this?
Go ahead, Jason. You want to answer first?
I get mine within a half a thousandths, and I make sure that I think usually when you have a problem with concentricity, it's when you size the case. And so the case master, like you and I both have, Trevor, is an excellent tool to set up your dies. So you make sure everything's square, everything's right. You get rid of that problem. And then you make your round or your dummy round or whatever, and then you check it again. And then that would lead you to believe that if there's a problem at that point, it's a seating die. So you're eliminating all the guesswork out of it, right? You're working through your problem.
So
But
resize
to tell you the truth,
brass.
pardon me?
So resize the brass, and if the brass comes out straight, good. Move on to the seating procedure.
Yep, exactly. So you eliminate the guesswork. You're just working through the problem. That's all.
Yeah, instead of
But,
wondering where instead of measuring the finished product and then wondering what stage in the process caused the concentricity, check the brass first, then see the bullet, then check that.
Exactly.
Excellent. Okay.
And how I figured out that's a problem is I thought I had a problem with the Dillon 308 die, but it ended up being my shell holder was dirty and the shells weren't sitting in it flush enough, and it was throwing it off. And I thought I had issues until I just kind of worked through the problem and saw what it was.
What shell holder are you using? What brand? Or
That
do you
was
use
on my
multiple
Dillon
brands? See, the shell plate on the tool head was dirty.
Yeah. So yeah, I kept compacting dirt and garbage in there, and
Yep.
it started pushing that shell casing out, and it wasn't sitting straight, and I had a problem, and I thought it was with my $100 die, you know.
Yep. I hear you. Interesting. Now, Jeremy, you do anything different?
Now, I mean, I got one of those Hornaday concentricity gauges that you can actually fix, but way back when I started first doing loads, I was getting a lot of run out, and I wanted to trace it back to where it was, and it came out to the expander ball that's in most full length resizers, and even some neck risers like RCVS and whatnot. They actually have an expander ball. Well, most of the time that expander ball, depending on the press and all that good stuff that you have, it'll actually, when that expander ball comes back out, it'll actually pull the neck one way or the other. And that's the reason why I use the 3-die setup that I use, is because I got, the Redding body die, which does strictly the body. And then you have the Lee Collette neck die, which is a straight mandrel. So when that Lee mandrel goes in there, it's not going to pull it one way or another. It's going to press it straight against that mandrel. But I mean, that's how I did that. And I mean, once I had my setup the way it worked for me in my die on my bench, I mean, I generally don't get any more than 0.002 inches of run out. Most of the time, it's 0.0005 to 0.001 inch. So, I mean, I get very little run out with that setup that I have.
Awesome.
So I just want to show everybody what one of those decapping pins and then the expander looks like. So here's your pin, and then here's your actual
Expander ball.
Yeah, your expander ball. This is the part that always causes the problem. It's not this down here, because that's just going to slide right through the case mouth in most cases. It's this part right here where you can kind of see against the white paper. It gets a little bigger. So you can
Now, is that something that we should be maintaining, keeping polished, keeping clean, looking for burrs or nicks or scratches?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. You're sizing die completely. You should be. Depending on what you're loading, pick a number and start taking your die apart. That was easy enough to do. I'll just show you what I did. So it's sitting in the press, die's locked down tight. Literally, just turn the knurled knob and you pull it right out. So it's just that simple. This one over here in the Dillon, same thing, knurled knob up here. There's a lock nut if you need to, but most of the time you can just turn them right out. So and it's pretty simple to clean out. If you want to take the die out, you can take the die.
Locking ring, so you just like quick.
Yeah, it's a locking ring. See?
And you know the bullet
Oh,
that
the-
goes.
No, that's a Lee, not a fancy Hornady.
That Lee that you just took that die out. That's as old as Jim. You need to maybe. Even my Lee has the quick detach.
I don't think they invented metal back then, Trevor.
Bronze Age.
There you go.
But you can kind of see inside there, and you'll see a little build up and stuff. Even when
Lube.
the top, yeah, it's going to be lube because this was for rifle.
All
Yep.
right.
So, but it's that simple. You can just screw it in and out.
Some acetone or some strong alcohol and
Brake cleaner, yeah.
Bourbon?
No,
We
that's
don't want to waste that.
yeah, no.
No wasting of that.
Bourbon is used to clean the technician, not the technician's equipment.
that. So,
Jason Tilley said wooden dies or stone dies. No.
I think they were stone because they didn't have tools to carve the wood yet. So,
Well, we could always ask him. I mean, he helped with the pyramids and everything. So
one of the couple of things that Jason Tilley also said was, being the smartass he is, says closer to the target. And Steve Crawford threw in bigger dot. That might work too. But on serious, what Jason said is when he's seating, he gets the bullet started and then turns it 90 degrees and finishes seating it. So, Trevor, you said you do that too?
I do, yep. I don't remember where I picked that up or if I just thought it was a good idea to do on my own, but I seat the bullet halfway, rotate it, and then seat the rest of the way in case I'm getting some kind of weird torque in the system.
Yeah. So, and Jason said he's got, with RCBS expander balls, they come loose all the time.
We do.
Watch those loose balls. So he's constantly checking his.
He's constantly checking his RCBS balls. Got it.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, that is an RCBS die, so I've had that same problem. So a little purple Loctite works wonders, or not purple Loctite, but blue Loctite works wonders.
Blue, yeah.
Don't use purple. That's a bad thing.
Yep.
So
use green.
Walter Bacon says threading body die plus the Lee Colette neck die as well. So yeah, it's a case of figuring out where you're going wrong, and run out is going to be your biggest culprit other than you. So if you think the rifle's underperforming or your load's underperforming, find somebody at the range that shoots better than you. Yes, there should be somebody there, and have them shoot it and see. So that's always a good thing to do. All right. So our last question. Back on 308 again. And this is from the Reloading Podcast group on Facebook from Mark. And he says, just started reloading 308 and I'm having trouble. It is once fired Lake City brass, Lee full-length die, lubed with one-shot case lube. It is taking a ton of force and don't really want to keep pushing. Case is only about 3/4 of the way into the die, and they are coming out like the two on the right. He's got pictures on there. And he said the one on the left is before sizing. He says, done hundreds of 223 and 22-250. Had a couple of rounds that were pretty tough because of not enough lube, but nothing like the effort I'm putting into these. We have some new Lapua brass that we tried, and they were super easy, so I'm guessing it has something to do with size after fired. But it was taking so much force, I didn't want to break anything. I had any ideas from you geniuses. So looking at the pictures, First off, he needs to use better lighting with the pictures, but that's my giving crap. So from what I can,
Lake City is
looks
Lake
like-
City annealed?
shouldn't be, but more than likely, it probably was a machine gun brass. And there's your answer.
Yep.
Uh,
Over expansion coming out of the gun.
Exactly. Every single piece of Lake City brass I've ever sized in 308, it's a pain in the ass because it does have to require so much more force because a machine gun chamber is considerably larger than a precision rifle chamber or even a hunting rifle chamber. Given the fact that if you were in the heat of a firefight, you do not want stock brass. Never. So they purposely make the chambers on a machine gun a lot larger. And when I'm talking a lot, you're probably looking at maybe 3 or 4 thousandths. That would be the definition of a lot. But that would be enough to really make it a bear to resize. So that is my guess. What say ye?
I say I probably agree with you. I think it was probably fired through full auto. I say he either needs to use more lube, but my guess is he's used to using a certain amount of lube. And from what I understand, I've never tried it, but from what I understand, the one shot's pretty good until you don't use enough.
Yep.
And then people stick a case or whatever, and then they're mad at one shot and they don't want it.
Well,
Yep.
see,
Use more or get a different product like Imperial size wax or
yeah, because then you can put it on yourself. But the thing about one shot, back of the can, there's a bunch of words that run together in sentences and then a paragraph, and I think they're referred to as instructions. They actually matter. It's not like other lubes where you just shake the ball and spray it on. You should actually follow the directions on one shot.
Yeah, if a person actually comprehends and follows the instructions on one shot,
It's good.
it works great. I mean, that's all I've ever used for the last 6 years is one shot, and I've never had a stuck case. So,
how long have you used it,
outside-
Jeremy?
Well,
How long have you used it?
For 6 years.
All your life?
I haven't had a stuck case. I mean,
Since he was a young pup.
leave it to Jason. That's okay. I don't have to go to another state to buy my ammo.
Oh,
Ooh. Oh. Wow. I don't yet.
So yeah, on this particular one, which is a slightly older can, the direction starting
look
out.
at all those words.
I know, and then they go up to here,
It's words on two sides of the can.
right? And this one right here, that's the most important one. The one that most people I know fail to do. It says, "Wait till it's dry."
Yep.
Oh.
Back to the issue with the brass. More lube, more muscle, or less. It's still brass after all, right? I mean, your die is steel, your brass is brass. It'll get there.
So, but yeah, that was the common thread. Was or the common theme was suggesting different lube, or not different lube, but more lube, and then different lube. So somebody said, somebody had our particular complaint about one shot. I look, use what works for you. I've never had a problem with one shot either, and I've been using it for 8 years, 9 years now. So I used Lee before that, almost had a stuck case, and stopped using Lee. So because you do have to use so much Lee. But the key is with one shot is let it dry. And if it's humid out, it's not going to dry in a minute. If it's cold out, it's not going to dry in a minute. I let mine sit for probably a good 20 minutes and come back. And for
I haven't got the patience for that.
for somebody who was watching the broadcast a couple of weeks ago, I took a case that was lubed 4 months ago and threw the dye and pulled it back out without it getting stuck.
Would do that.
Yeah.
I'm a real fan of the Dylan lube.
Dylan lube's awesome. One of the other suggestions was the lanolin and rubbing alcohol lube. We got to get that over to the podcast group, but on the reloading room there in the documents, there is the recipe for that. So
For what? Recipe for the Dylan?
no, for
the homemade Dylan.
Oh, it is homemade Dylan? Okay. So I didn't know what Dylan makes theirs. So
And there's a way to turn
yeah.
the Lee paste into a spray on as well.
yes, there is. So, and I've heard that makes a big difference. Yeah, the two common things I hear with the spray-ons, any of them, is that, I think I got enough. So here's my reloading block. When I'm spraying a case, so the case is here, I am going to take that can, I'm going to run it this way, and I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to run it across this way. I'm going to turn the block again, and I'm going to run it back this way again. And then I'm going to turn the block one more time, and I'm going to go this way. All the while holding it so it's shooting down at about a 45-degree angle to get inside the case mouth as well as the outside of the case.
Like the
Yes,
instructions
that
said.
is the proper way.
Yeah. So
Now,
ultimately, even Jim said that he was using the lanolin lube and he got some machine gun cases stuck. So whether he used enough or I don't know, but if you do this long enough, at some point in time, there is an increased chance that you can stick a case. So, but
that's why I like the Dylan dye. Tree
Sorry.
dye?
no, I just looked in the chat and was laughing at Kel's question.
The
Oh,
Dylan, I don't know if the Dylan 308 dye is the same, but the Dylan 223 dye has a built-in stock case remover right in the dye.
Nice.
You could just
That's nice.
Hmm.
So, I don't know, but I will check on that. I'll make a note to check on that. So we'll find out.
That is correct. It has the same.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
You betcha.
All right, folks. So that covers everything for tonight. Brian, thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I've already been getting emails from your viewers about the one stroke. So, and some
Oh, good.
sizes that want
the system works.
works. Works. But I wish you guys were coming to SHOT Show, but hopefully we can see a couple of you at the NRA show.
Yeah, I plan on being there. So
Well, good. Good.
Check my calendar, see if I can be there.
maybe I'll swing through Arkansas and kidnap Jeremy on the way.
You have to check with his mom first.
He's probably got a curfew. We probably don't want him to come.
Exactly.
Conway, I'll trip Jason.
Do you have an ID to even get in a bar?
He does. Question is, would you use it?
So. All right, folks. Thank you, everybody who sends us emails and comments on the podcast page or sends us text messages or voicemails. Thank you, everybody who swings by firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast and hits up the Brownells and the Amazon links. Thank you to everybody that visits all of our guests and sponsors that we have. And thank you to all of our patrons. So we've got quite a few, gang. And I want to say at some point in time in the near future, the way we're growing, which is an awesome problem to have, we're not going to take time to read everybody's name just because we'll take half the show. So this is probably going to be one of the last times we read everybody's name off. But I do want to say thank you to everybody. It is just an awesome blessing. We AJ, so I want to thank him for that. And then he's our new pledger, Patreon. Patreoni, as the Canadians say. So
Stole it from an American, actually.
sweet, even better. So our current Patreons are Mr. Anonymous, David S., Troy S., Mike S., Eric S., Tim A., The Big Boar, Aaron S. Yes, there's 2 different Aarons. Rick R., Mark H., Kilo, Charlie 3, Foxtrot Hotel, Anthony B., Peter D., Richard C., Shane D., Tony S., Winfred C., Aaron R., Patchrat, Michael S., Sean C., November 7, Foxtrot Lima, Drew, Derek, Joel L., and Brewerville. Want to thank everybody for that.
That is a long list.
Yes,
Wow.
it is. So just grateful for everybody. Awesome that you're willing to send us your hard-earned money. We do have some products that we're working on testing, and then we'll be getting them given away. So that's one of the benefits of being a Patreon. Also, depending on the level, you can either be Patch of the Month club member from Patriot Patch Company, or get a $25 gift card to Patriot Patch Company every month. So depending on the level. To find out more about that, go to firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast. And there'll be some information there. Otherwise, you can just click on the pledge link on firearmsradio.tv, and there's more information there. So also have the link in our show notes. So on that note, Brian, do you want to do Jim's line?
I don't know what that line is.
You got to sound like an old man.
And you go last.
Yeah.
Oh, that should be Jason's job. It's got to sound old.
Oh!
Bite me, Brian. You're not that far away.
Oh, really?
Road trip.
Shunny, I came here to whoop your ass.
I'll give you my Garan, and you can just tell him to get off your lawn.
All right, folks. Remember to keep that brass shiny.
Keep your powder dry.
Get off my lawn.
A ball, miss small.
And
Brian.
Good night.
Close enough.
I don't know
And
what
Mike's
to
moment.
say.
Nobody bothered
All right.
to tell him what the line was. You kept trying, Mike, but we kept interrupting.
So the line is squeeze. Don't yank that trigger.
And keep your stick on the ice.
Perfect. Thank you. I like that.
All right, all. Have a good night.